In your experience, dating in your 40s is trickier than dating in your 20s and 30s. But does it have to be? Men are men, women are women. So what's so different about dating after you turn the big 4-0? In this Love You podcast, I'm going to share with you why it is indeed harder to find a good middle-aged man and what you should consider if you're facing a ticking biological clock. Stick around. I'm Marc Katz, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women, and your personal trainer for love. Welcome to the Love You podcast. Keep listening to find out what to look for when you're dating men in your 40s. When we're done, I'll let you know how you could apply to Love You to create a passionate relationship that makes you feel safe, heard, and understood. So, fact. Not all the good ones are taken, but fact, there are fewer good ones out there. So here's how this works. Statistically speaking, I looked it up before I got here. 81% of men are married before they turn 40. And that's going to mean that the idea that, all the good ones are taken, well, it's not all, but a lot of the marriage-minded men, the guys who are cute enough, relationship-oriented enough, secure enough to want to make that kind of commitment, a lot of them came off the board. Now, there's a lot of people who didn't. I've got a lot of clients in their 40s who've never been married. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, nor is it something necessarily wrong with the remaining 20%. But, and it's an important but, this is from a book called Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, and it talks all about attachment styles and how they determine how we're compatible within relationships. And what the book reports is that 50% of people, according to them, are a secure attachment style, which means they are able to ably form intimate bonds, right? And then 25% of people are anxious and 25% of people are avoidant. Anxious means you crave an intimate relationship, but you kind of freak out while you're dating. And avoidant means, well, it's usually the person who drives the anxious person crazy. Avoidant means claims to want to have love, but constantly undermines that. Pulls away, criticizes, talks about commitment, refuses to talk about commitment, but doesn't really follow through on stepping up to the plate and letting the relationship escalate. So we have secure, which is 50% of the population, and then people who are anxious and avoidant on the other side. So as time passes, predictably, the secure men start to pair up and they form long-term intimate bonds. And what does that leave in the dating pool? A lot more anxious guys and avoidant ones. What does that mean for you? Well, you've seen it yourself. More men freaking out quickly that, they want to be your boyfriend on date one, and you're like, whoa there, that's anxious. And then there's the guys that I mentioned earlier, the guys who claim to want love, but ultimately keep you at a distance and refuse to commit. That's what the dating pool looks like increasingly as time goes by. But, I didn't even have this in the script, people recycle. Just because a guy got married and was secure and commitment-oriented in his early 30s doesn't mean he married the right person. So there's going to be some secure people who married, men and women alike, secure people who married wrong that end up seeking divorce, right? That's a real thing too. But as time goes by, a lot of the people who are good at relationships stay in relationships, which is what we would expect. So it is, per your observation, harder to find a quality commitment-oriented man who's never been married. And therefore, if you're not, you should be open to divorced men, as long as you're staying away from the red flag divorced men. And there are red flags. We're not talking about men who are currently separated, not men who just had the ink dry on their divorce and you're the first person they've gone out with. Not men who are living on their buddy's couch, not men who are actively bitter towards their exes, not men who are not sure if they ever want to get married again. And I want to acknowledge, this encompasses and accounts for a lot of men. And yes, you should pass on all of them. I did a video about this. 90% of men, for your purposes, for our purposes, for love you purposes, are worthless to you, even if they're the next bright, shiny, single available object. So I need you to be able to pass on all of these red flag separated and divorced men. So amidst all of these broken men are men who married the wrong person in his late 20s or early 30s and really wants to get it right the next time around. So whether you know it or not, a huge part of dating, a huge part of what I do in Love You coaching is just this: giving you the courage to say no to the wrong men, the detours who are going to waste your time, or at the very least, if you can't identify them up front, not wasting too much time on them once you've started seeing them. And I know this may seem hard to do, but I just outlined a bunch of men that you could avoid from the get-go. As to the actual dating part, right, dating when you're over the age of 40, the truth is, and I don't think many people acknowledge that, dating dynamics between men and women aren't appreciably different at any age. Yeah, there's guys in their 30s who are still trying to get their career together, and there's guys in their 60s who are, aren't financially ready to retire or suffering from erectile dysfunction. But the dynamic between men and women isn't that different. It's just people. Men still want to feel appreciated and accepted, whether they're 30 or whether they're 70. Women still want to feel safe, heard, and understood, whether they're 30 or they're 70. Men should still make a concerted effort to please you. You should still make a concerted effort to forgive the good men who try to please you but fall short. Perhaps the only things, in my opinion, that are appreciably different about dating in your 40s surround fertility. And I alluded to that in a previous podcast, but it's important to bring up. If you're a woman who wants her own biological children, you have to recognize that men who want their own biological children are well within their rights to choose women who are younger. You can hate it, you can lament how unfair it is, but it is 100% practical for a 40-year-old man who wants to try to have 2 biological kids of his own to insist on trying to date women under the age of 35. I say this as a guy who got married at 35, wanted 2 kids, and chose a woman who was just about to turn 39. That if you're in your 40s and you want children, pay close attention to the men who already have them. They're already fathers. They know what it takes. They're not going to be as afraid of moving fast like childless men who are faced, and I was faced this when I dated a 38-year-old woman when I was 32. I remember being petrified, like, oh my God, I found her. And I'm going to have to impregnate her as soon as possible. I just met her, and all I could think about was the pressure I was feeling to, now that I was in love, get engaged, get married, move in, get married, and start procreating. It was a lot to take as a single guy without kids. So guys who have kids are going to be a little bit cooler about this. And for those women who are listening who don't want to have children and you're in your 40s, hallelujah. You're not going to be as driven by the fear or scarcity of a biological clock. And you can date men who are younger or older without worrying about what it means for paternity. Meaning, you don't have to worry about dating a guy who's too old to be a dad and is going to be in his 70s when your kid's in high school, right? And you don't have to worry too much about dating a guy who's too young to be a father. Even though there's more urgency for women who want children, the key to successful dating, as I share and love you, is to act like there's no urgency. And that's what I want to leave you with today. As much as you may want kids, the last thing you want to do is marry some dude in a year, have a baby 9 months later, and discover that the guy who's the father of your child is a terrible husband and father, and that you're either going to have to fight for the next 18 years, right, to preserve a broken marriage that never should have been, or immediately become a single working mother to an infant, which is the hardest job on the planet. In my book, and scientifically, studies show, slow and steady wins the race. Half of my clients are in their 40s. Half of them, about one quarter or below 40, one quarter above 50. Right? If you're one of those women, click below to learn how to get this most important aspect of your life working properly. I look forward to talking to you and helping you achieve your dream. My name is Marc Katz. Thank you for tuning into the Love You podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell. Choose all to ensure you get notified when new content comes out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple. More reviews equals more awareness of the Love You podcast and more love in the world. And if you want to find love right now and you're committed to making healthier choices with men so you can have that easy relationship where you feel safe, heard, and understood, look for the link below and apply for coaching with me and Love You. Thanks a lot.